And that's a key to understanding why wheeling developed the way it did. For much of the early 19th century, there are always more men than there are women. You want to know the difference between then and now? It's the reverse. There are about 3,000 more women in Ohio County than there are men. Okay? And maybe we'll speak to that in a little bit. Here's a description of wheeling in the 1840s. Among the lustiest consumers of alcohol are, and listen to this, stage drivers, lumberjacks, riverboatmen, and they all share one common trait. They're mobile, they have no roots, and many of them don't have any morals. Okay? So let's move ahead to, let's say, the late 1970s, early 1980s. We're living in West Liberty, and we have a son who's about 11, 12 years old. And he gets for Christmas walkie-talkies. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed walkie-talkies, sometimes you can pick up some weird stuff. And what do we pick up? We pick up an exchange between a truck driver and a young woman at a place called Dallas Pike. You know? And how do you explain to a 12-year-old what they're talking about? Very simple. Go ask your mother. And you know what? She told him. Now, these are restless, rootless men. So they come into an area and they want to relax, so they're going to drink. They've got time on their hands. They want to gamble. They've been on the road. Maybe if they're coming in from Baltimore, they might have been on the road for a couple of weeks. You know, maybe they haven't seen a member of the opposite sex for a while. They're raring to go. They're feeling, rare to go. Well, same 1845. I mentioned this guy to you before. His name was Timothy Collins, and he was a tobacco merchant. He's from Baltimore, and he comes into Wheeling. And he's the guy who I mentioned to you is commenting about the hum of business and all the different kinds of things that are going on in the community. And if you want to make some money, this is obviously a good place to go. But he's also makes some other comments. He stays at what's called the United States Hotel. He said, my room was pleasant and the fare was good. He said, but the people who frequent the taverns are there not only to have a drink, but they're there for the fling of the dice. Okay? And here's how he describes what he saw as he's sitting on a bank about where Wheeling Park is. I watched an endless parade of traffic. Wagons pulled by oxen and horses. Freight haulers, their loads piled high, okay? Drovers with dust heavy in their whiskers, followed by their animals and so on. And here's the phrase, and gay blades, eager to taste the pleasures of Wheeling's brothels, cantering past on fine horses. See, remember, this is the 19th century, gay meant happy. Okay? And he talks about this. He said Wheeling is this brash place. Every inn, every rooming house, every first-class tavern, every pigsty inn is jammed. The billiard balls roll in incessantly. Glasses clink. There's the fumes of alcoholic concoctions. There's smoke from cigars and stogies. And he said, and there are flashy girls who purse two red lips and it's T-O-O, red lips. And their saucy eyes smiled hospitality that demanded cash. He said, I had a heck of a time going across the street. He said, I was almost run down by this drunken guy. Okay? He said, as I was leaving the livery stable, I looked across the street, and there's a woman in a bright shawl leading a stumbling man up an outside stairway. Long after I went to bed, I could hear the clatter of glassware, the clink of bottles, and the street noises that I swore grew louder as the night grew older. Surely whaling is on the rim of the frontier. I slept, but not before I latched my door and wedged a stout chair under the knob. 1845. Okay? In 1860, the Wheeling Intelligencer said, you familiar with the Wheeling Intelligencer? No locality is more notorious for female squabbles, drunken rows in the night, and bald-faced whiskey than the vicinity of the old jail. Here live the Skelleys and the Mannix and the Finnities and the Kennetys and the Lindens and the O'Flahertys. Sorry. And a host of others. And a row of some kind is eternally agitating the place. They're drunken Irishmen. Remember, Irish are one of the two big ethnic groups that come to the United States by the Civil War. The other one is Germans. And one of the problems with the Irish, of course, is that many of the Irish immigrants who came to the United States were also Catholic. Remember, this is an overwhelmingly Protestant country. Okay? And they have some other things that a lot of Americans don't like. They tend to drink too much. In fact, somebody told me once that to say somebody is a drunken Irishman is to repeat a redundancy. It was like a joke. It wasn't a joke. It was just like a joke. Okay. Now, I had a student. If you saw him, you would just be amazed at this guy. His first name was Noah. I had him in class maybe 5 years ago. Noah is, well, I looked up to Noah. So Noah's about 6'7". He has a beard like this, just as black as coal. Not much hair. And he's got shoulders like this. Drives a big Harley. In fact, he works at the Harley place up on 29th Street. And I asked him, I said, what do you do? He said, I work at Godfather's. Godfather's. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Godfather's, Godfather's is what we would call a gentleman's club. Okay? And that's where, a man can go, and let's see, what can you do there? You can drink. You can probably, in some of these places now, gamble. Because they probably have slot machines and other kinds of things. And you can look at
videos.
No. Real, live, naked women. Okay? And I said, well, what's it like working there? I mean, what's it like working in a place where the rest of your fellow workers are naked? And there's a difference between naked and naked. Naked means you don't have any clothes on. Naked means you don't have any clothes on, but you're up to no good. And he said, Doc, he said, when you mix naked women with alcohol, you're going to have problems. And I said, really? He said, yes, you're going to have problems. Well,